Hi, welcome to New York Parrot's Literary Corner. I'm Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host. Today we're promoting The Literary Parrot with Angie Mack, Harry Betts, and Joseph Mwitu. And it'll be a wonderful afternoon for all you guys out there watching this program to get an idea of what this book is about, what we're trying to convey in this book. It's $18 on Amazon internationally. And so if you want a copy, it's available everywhere. In India, it's available at pothi.com, POTHI.com. If you want to check that out, there's a nice glossy cover. It's much less expensive than the $18 version on Amazon. So I'm glad you guys joined us today. So how is everybody doing out there? How are you guys faring in this morning today?
Good.
Excellent. So I guess what we'll do is we'll start off with, getting each of you to read your poem from the anthology, and I'll start with Angie and let her kind of give us a little bit of a, background on the poem she wrote and included in the book. I think it's called Vibrations.
Yes, well, as a lifetime musician, I'm very fascinated with the concept of vibrations and the very real influence that vibrations have on people. I've studied vibrations throughout various times in my life. And at one point, I was a music teacher teaching in a school, and I used to do an experiment with the kids to visually demonstrate vibration. And what I would do is take an old, pot, and then I would put saran wrap on top of it and secure it tightly. Then sprinkle some salt on top of the saran wrap. Then I would take some sort of sound source, maybe let's say a wooden spoon in another pot, and I would bang the pot, and you would see the salt jumping up on the saran wrap because the sound waves had an impact on those salt granules and would make them move. And we could try different things, hitting the sound source and watching the salt granules come together just by sound, not even touching anything. So that's a really simple way to understand the impact that vibrations and sound and words and music has on other people. So this poem is kind of an ode to vibration. It's very rhythmic. So when I wrote it, it was rhythmic in my head. So that's how I'm going to read it, is how I hear it in my head. A lot of my poetry has rhythm, again, because I'm a musician. So it's got a steady beat. So I'm just going to kind of go like this for my own sake, keep a steady beat. But it goes like this: the quake, the jolt, the vibe, the drums, they do revive, the beat, the bang, the bump, collaboration, not just one, shake, shimmer, jazz, tap, massage those hands, rock and rattle, rattle the cold, friction together, hotter when old, buzz and wiggle, giggle she does, music, dancing, vibrations of love. Body quakes, muscle faint, heart it aches for more. Roller coasters, runways, race cars and machines. Rumble, roar, I'm out the door.
There's a little bit of a song going there.
Yeah, I hear words a lot of times rhythmically and musically, kind of like Langston Hughes.
Yes,
Langston Hughes had a lot of rhythm in his poetry. And so the way that my poetry is to be read is often as rhythmically or as a monologue, because I'm also a musical theater director. So my style of writing doesn't have perfect grammar intentionally, because it's meant to be read as in, like a monologue on a stage or a song or something like that. So, yeah.
So what are your impressions overall of what you've read so far from the book?
Well, to be honest, I have not had time to read the book. I have been extremely busy teaching music and acting this summer. I've had just an overabundance of students. Once the quarantine kind of lifted in Wisconsin, a lot of families really wanted to get their kids back into music. That was the first thing they wanted. So I've been extremely busy. But it may sound weird, but I love how it feels.
That's our mat cover.
That I was like, wow. And the look is really beautiful. I did glance at the photos. I'm a very visual person, so I definitely looked at the photos and really enjoyed those. I also really like, well, I would say one of my favorite photos is this one by Brian.
Right, Kahinde, yes, that's
Yeah,
from his personal collection.
Yeah, I really like that photo. It's one of these photos where you can just look at it for a long time and think, I wonder what that means, or what's happening there. But I really do enjoy Art Paul Schlosser's work that's in here. He wrote Ode to My Friends. I like the purity of his personality and
Right.
the purity of his words, the simplicity of it. The longer I've been writing, the longer I'm realizing that it's not an abundance of words and large words that necessarily can make an impact. Sometimes the most simple words and the most succinct poetry can make a powerful impact. So when I write, I try to use very few words intentionally. I think somebody once said that to understand something well, you have to be able to explain it in the simplest of terms.
Right.
Not easy to do because behind every word is a lot of thought, and to funnel it down to just a few words is really good. So I do like Art Paul Schlosser's work because it is relatable and simple. And I've watched him as a performer in Madison, Wisconsin for decades. So I've seen him, perform as a street performer. And I really appreciate his work. And I'm glad that you guys did as well. I'm very glad that you did.
Yes, and I like you say he's very pure at heart. He was very childlike in so many ways. Very, it was really funny. He was very funny, and he was very energetic on the program. And anybody that's watching now can go back to our interview with him, and we had some technical difficulties, but he improvised, and we had a lot of fun and listened to him perform and talk, and it was quite funny. Well, so thank you, Angie, for joining us today. We'll go back to you in a little bit. So Terry Pet's here. We have a poem from her. I don't think has the book, but she can. If she's looked at the PDF, I mean, what do you think overall of the project, of what we've done here with the New York Parrots and the television program? I believe you're on mute.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Sorry.
Quite all right.
It's amazing what you guys did, bringing all of us together and having these regular interviews with people. And then you did your first book. Kudos to you guys. I'm really blown away by how involved you are with poetry and how much you've done in this short time. You just started last year, right?
Early this year. I think it was in March this year. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I lift my invisible hat to you both.
Well, thank you so much. So your poem in the anthology is called Young at Heart. Would you like to read that?
Yes. And I just want to let everybody know that this is not all about me. It's sort of a lot of things about me, a lot of things I've noticed amongst friends and family. And then I threw in some humor just to make it funny
Hmm.
because aging isn't funny. It's hard, but we have to face it, and I guess it's better than the alternative.
Hmm.
So the poem is called Young at Heart. Young at heart, other parts in desperate need of repair. Your blood pressure medicine gives you insomnia, and the insomnia meds gave you ulcers eons ago. Your bed is now like an Olympic ski slope, but your indigestion is still irritating your throat. You used to party all night, 3, 4 times a week, and still be functional with 3 hours of sleep. Now, pain gets you up and down like a yo-yo all night, and you feel like a zombie day after day from the lack of a good night's sleep. Some days, the cocktail of medications is as strong as the drugs you used to have in the 60s, but the hallucinations are not as colorful as they used to seem on LSD. You tried the elimination diet to determine what foods to avoid, and you had some weird discoveries between a gummed up state and rapid elimination with smells that could be used for mass destruction or state of the art torture tools by the CIA. Some days you can only leave the house with the toilet chained to your butt, but you are young at heart with some parts in desperate need of repair. Your skin is thin beyond hope and repair. No amount of lotion will make it tight like it was once upon a time. The lines on your face are as deep as the Grand Canyon, and you covered your gray hair for years. You spend hours trying to find the receipt you need to email for reimbursement, and you are convinced that the same people that keep taking single socks from the dryer have taken your receipt, and one day you open the scanner and there it is. They must have returned it when you were asleep. You mix up the name of your children, grandchildren, the dogs, the cats, and birds you had when you were a child. The languages you once spoke fluently are now blended into your own secret language no one else in the world can understand. And despite all this, you keep going, you keep smiling, and you learn to laugh in times you really wanted to cry. Your sense of humor kept you sane in an insane and cruel world because you are young at heart with some parts in desperate need of repair.
Very touching, as well as sad and a little funny. There are little moments there where you kind of crack a little joke, and I think it's a great poem in that capacity to make you laugh and yet make you reflect at the same time on life and the aging process and what it means. Thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful. So we'll move on to Joseph now, and we'll have him read his poem "Not Doomed" from the anthology, and tell us a little bit about your impressions of the Parrot TV and what we're accomplishing. Give us an idea of what you think of the program initially, and then you can tell us a little bit about your poem, what inspired it.
All right, just want um, to thank Parrot TV for enabling all of us to have come together like we have. It's global. It's very global. So, well, see, Parrot TV is a very connecting platform, and that's very commendable. I just want to say that.
Thank you.
Okay. So, see, what inspired me to write about You're Not Doomed, is the fact that, you see, as a grown-up man these days, I see young people around the street,
Mhm.
they're doing drugs, engaging in violence acts, and going to jail. So, see, their questionable behavioral pattern made me want to try to send a message
Mhm.
to them that they can be able to be adjusted and align their lives in conformity with what being a righteous person or a gentleman is about. So I came with that point so that they can be able to get to learn that extremism is not the deal.
Mhm.
That they can be able to live a reasonable life instead of landing to jail, for example. They don't have to do drugs like the LSD, like I just said that in her poem,
Mhm.
marijuana, cocaine, and things like that, or landing up to maximum prison, like Sing Sing in New York, for example, or equivalent in some other countries. So that's how, see, as a grown-up man, I decided, all right, see, the moral fiber is rotten to the core.
Mhm.
So as a grown-up man, I can be able to adjust. I bet few people adjust their thinking and align their thinking in normalcy, which is not so easy actually, but okay, we try to, we know some, okay, okay, this is especially directed to single parent families. You know, in single parent family, morality can go down. If one parent is not there,
Mhm.
then that could be a problem because it'll be like charity never began at home.
Right.
You find the kid using the 4-letter words, and it's not becoming actually. So that's why I cracked my head and said, okay, let me try jot something, scribble something a little bit about the kids around the streets in our hood.
It's interesting. What do you have the poem available to read?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. You're watching Parrot TV. We're talking about the anthology we just released, The Literary Parrot. Yeah, Joseph here is going to read Not Doomed. Excellent
Not doomed.
poem.
I hope you will hear the hood and act accordingly as I face you reassuringly without hitting you with a dumb boot. It is important that you be cool, living the society approvingly, cooperating around voluntarily. That way you get something to cook. Why cover your head with a hood? It won't make you listen attentively. But if you pay attention wholeheartedly, you won't be gloomy. Be steadfast as a troop. And that could be a boon. It's not always easy to get a boon, but you can strike oil surprisingly or discover gold miraculously. In the future or soon, you never walk with heads stooped, nor loiter carelessly. Walking will be majestically for all your processions aren't looted. I have let nuggets loose to you generously, imparting it to you emphatically, so you won't be somebody's steward. You therefore aren't doomed, for my eyes are kept on you loving without deviating inadvertently, like I'm gazing at the moon.
Well, thank you, Joseph. That's a wonderful poem, a wonderful message for the world community out there, especially young people, as you mentioned. And Joseph's in there in Tanzania. We have Angie in United States and Terry in Canada. So we have quite a community here of people. We're discussing this wonderful global anthology, The Literary Parrot, was just released on August 1st. So what do you think of the mission statement, Angie, of the Literary Parrot on the back of the and of the back of the book? It's written there, mission statement of New York Parrot. Do you think that's a good that we're going towards that direction? Or what do you think of those objectives?
Yeah, this was one of the things that I noticed and impressed me. Would you like me to read it?
Sure, if you want to read it, I would love to hear it.
Okay, so the mission statement is, our primary mission is to bridge truth and relevant information gaps between the haves and the have-nots. I love that. As we liberate people from ignorance of what is happening around them and beyond borders. We called this mission from our belief that peace, harmony, and prosperous cohabitation of humans can only exist when there is a fair and transparent gathering, love that, and dissension of relevant, fact-checked information for all humans, regardless of their socioeconomic and cultural status and orientation. I love how inclusive this is, and I love that the poets are being heard from, because 2020 has been a difficult time, 2021, and it seems like we're hearing from a lot of political sides. But as I mentioned to you before, people who are artists, writers, musicians, we don't necessarily see sides. We don't necessarily see borders. We see humanity. And in this, I feel that you guys have let the voice of humanity be heard. And it's very important that these voices be heard, regardless of income or any type of place. You're allowing us to be heard, and I'm very, very thankful for that, because as a creative person, I've often gone through life feeling like I'm not heard.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard when you have something to share and no platform to share it necessarily. So I highly applaud you guys for, like Terry said, bringing this together in a very short amount of time. I think it's a huge feat. And I'm very, very thankful to be a part of it.
That's wonderful. We're glad to have you to be a part of it. Terry, what do you think of Angie's poem, how she presented that? It's quite interesting how she used the rhythm of the poem for the words to represent a kind of musicality. What did you think of that?
I think it was cool, and so not your typical poem where we just read something. Bringing the rhythm into it and even the rhythmic words, I think it was awesome. I liked it. I really enjoyed it.
It's great. What did you think of Joseph's poem?
Well,
Um,
same.
it's
You asking me?
I was asking Terry, what did she think of your poem?
I had a hard time hearing him because his connection was choppy. I'd have to read it, but from what I understood, it is a young man facing the realities of his life.
Right. It's an excellent poem. I definitely recommend people picking up a copy of the book and reading that poem. And so, Joseph, what did you think of Angie's presentation with the rhythm and her using the musicality of the language to sort of present the poem and it's in a different light than just the words themselves?
Well, it's very musical, and see when something's rhythmic, that's when a message can be able to be instilled. And the fact that she had started that with kids back then, so even before maybe going to college and learn about music, so she was very musical. Her potential enabled her to come up with something which is well defined and organized, and that's very commendable in that connection.
So how did you feel about Terry's poem? It was quite an interesting expression of growing old and learning to cope with some of the difficulties of old age. How did you think she portrayed that pretty well?
All right, you see when she came up with her poem, when I had her reading her poem, see, I could see my mom, even though my mom is a little bit older than hers. My mom could be her 10 years senior. So, well, she could be a baby boomer. I'm not sure, maybe after Vietnam War, maybe she wasn't exactly. So, okay, when I heard her sing, well, I can be able to see what she's going through, right? Maybe some other older people around her in the neighborhood, in the horse pies. Those who are facing senility. It could be other kind of diseases, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, arthritis, gray hairs. They don't look pretty. And in the end, people die. So in that connection, well, you can be able to have a fellow feeling. And even when you're dealing with such older people, you can be able to deal them with deep understanding, considering them as special, obviously, because these are people who did a lot of things, and that's why you are there, Dustin, because your parents, help you to be there where you are right now. So it's people like her that help you where you are right now, for example. So there are people who are supposed to be accorded respect, support, and all that. So that's the message I can be able to get from her, for example.
One of the things I liked about the poem is there was a little bit of an optimistic note where she said, growing old is better than the alternative. And obviously that's true. I mean, life is something precious that we celebrate. And in this time where so many people are passing away and we're losing a lot of lives, and we're losing a lot of hope in general, I think it's good to celebrate that we're alive and we're still going forward in life and still have time to do things and move on. I mean, you never know when your life will just be cut from you. It could be any time. My life is very dangerous in that way, but it's also very safe in so many ways that we can feel secure and happy and content in our homes and in our personal life. And we can be here on Zoom and talk about poetry and basically it's a very, life is a very precious thing, and it's a very fragile thing in a lot of ways, as we've learned in the last years, how easily that we can lose everything, and security and life and everything out there, that we have can just be torn from us at any moment. And it's very, very difficult to live sometimes. And growing old is a very tedious thing. And I'm learning myself at 40 years old. I'm kind of, my body's just sort of going, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's hard to move sometimes a little bit. And, you just kind of have to adapt to those pains. So I think that was a great poem to read. And I really related strongly to all, having to take all these medications and all this, and they always cause their own side effects, and you have to take more medications for the side effects. So it's there's a little comedy there, but it's very true to life. So thank you all for joining us today. We had Joseph from Tanzania, and Terry from Canada, and Angie there giving us some music from United States, right out of the home of the blues there, from where I believe Paramount Records was born. We had her on the program not too long ago talking about that. So that was wonderful. So you guys are all doing great work in the world, and I applaud you very, very highly and commend you for all the stuff you're doing. And Mary's got her groups out there in Canada, and Joseph's in Tanzania writing poetry and communicating with people all over the world. And so we're doing a lot of good work, even though it's trying times. So just keep doing it. Just keep pushing forward. And I look forward to seeing you guys again at some point. This anthology is what we're promoting, The Literary Parrot. If you haven't got a copy, I would hope that you would get a copy soon. It's $18 on Amazon internationally, and it's at pathi.com in India. And get a copy of it and tell us what you think. Leave a review on an Amazon, or just email me at literarycorner@newyorkparrot.com. If you want to be on our show, that's another place to reach me, literarycorner@newyorkparrot.com. If you want to be a guest, we want to hear from you. It's something we do is we love promoting creative work and getting this community together. So we're bringing people together all over the world, and that's what we're about. And there's also the New York Parrot website, newyorkparrot.com. If you want to take a look, it's a media organization. So please do get in touch with that and look at what we have to offer, and submit works of literature on the current events at the same email I just mentioned, literarycorner@newyorkparrot.com. You can address me, Dustin Pickering, and definitely keep in touch with us through that, and subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. We want to hear from you. Comment on our programming. Tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you. So subscribe and tell other people to subscribe, and keep sharing our content. It's been wonderful having three of you guys on the program today. So just keep doing what you're doing. Keep writing. Keep in touch with all of us here at the Parrot, and keep in touch with the world out there, and keep writing and doing music, and your community organizing, and everything that everybody's doing out there. Just keep it up. Keep the hope moving. And definitely keep the creative work, all the creative and loving work we're doing, trying to help heal this world as it's falling apart in front of us, so many capacities. Just keep it up, and don't give up, and don't lose hope. We sometimes do, but we need a strong message of hope out there and resolution for all the world. This has been Dustin Pickering. I'm your noble and honest host here at New York Parrot. And you can, again, get in touch with me at literarycorner@newyorkparrot.com if you want to be on the show. This is me signing off now for the Literary Parrot, New York Literary Parrot.com. Thank you very much.